The chairman of Nigerian Economic Summit Group, Olani Yusuf, joins us right now in the news. So thank you so much for joining us right now, Mr. Yusuf. Tell me, this is the 31st edition of the Nigerian Economic Summit. What would you say makes this year's summit particularly significant for Nigeria's economic future?
All right, thank you. Good evening. This year's summit will start tomorrow and will end on Wednesday, over 3 days. And the theme of the summit focused on the reforms imperative, how we can build, how do we then ensure that we get results? And those results should affect each and every strata of the society. And so that's going to be the focus in the next 3 days. There'll be 5 key areas we'll be looking at. We'll be looking at industrialization, so that we can become a country that adds value to its natural resources. We'll also be looking at infrastructure. We've got to have electricity, digital infrastructure, roads, ports, infrastructure that will aid industrialization. And the third is investment. We also need to have investment that will power our infrastructure. An investment that's going to be both domestic and foreign. I mean, we've seen huge investment, for instance, by the Dangote Group at Lekki. So how do we get more of such investment into different cities in Nigeria? But beyond that, how do we make ourselves attractive to both domestic and local investors, to attract them, to reward them, and to retain them? So it's important that as a nation, we critically dissect what we need to do to incentivize investors, right? How we get them in instead of shutting the door and engage them. How, as government, as workers, as unions, we don't picket investors, but rather we promote investors. The fourth area will be around inclusion, and the fifth will be institutions. How do we strengthen our institutions such that they can act truly for the good of all, to protect customers, and to ensure that there's fair competition? So those are the 5 key broad pillars we'll be exploring over the next 3 days.
I like the fact that you've highlighted the pillars for this particular summit. But tell us, what are your key expectations from this 3-day summit, especially in terms of tangible outcomes, stakeholder commitment, and the kind of policy dialogue you hope will emerge?
Well, thanks. So, the summit provides a platform for honest and frank dialogue between the government, the private sector, the academia, our development partners, and citizens. And our hope is that when we dissect those 5 pillars, we really can then say to ourselves, what kind of incentives we need to put in place, like I said, to attract both local and domestic investors. Is how you treat your domestic investors that signals to other foreign investors that, yeah, Nigeria is open, and Nigeria is looking for investors. And we are in a global environment where there is a lot of volatility and instability. And Nigeria is competing with other countries for these investors. And so our hope is over the next 3 days, we can come out with tangible policy initiatives beyond tax. It's really how we grow the talent, the human capital that is required, out of the policy consistency, and of course, the right infrastructure and other incentives for both local and our foreign investors. So what we've done with Dangote Group is great in terms of having the investment in Lagos, but how can we have that in other places? But those investors will not come if we continue to chase them away, if we continue to use a nuclear bomb to strike and just shut down the entire nation because of issues. So how do we become a country that is governed by rule, where workers, employers, and the government all obey the rule of law? Those are some of the things that I hope we can have those conversations over the next 3 days so that we can put the seats that will attract more local and foreign investment into the country.
Now, I don't know if you're aware, but there's a growing public concern about the impact of, the current economic reforms, especially things like, the fuel subsidy removal, forex unification, and even inflation. Now, will these tough conversations be addressed openly at the summit?
Right. So the summit is an open platform, right? It's happening at an open place, but it's also being transmitted online. And conversations that happen at the summit end up in what we call our green book that is then taken to the FEC. And one of the pillars for this summit is inclusion. Inclusion is how do we ensure that prosperity, the macroeconomic stability can trickle down and affect all strata of the nation, whether you are, so our policies must be pro-women, pro-youth, pro-poor, pro-rural areas. And that really is the fourth pillar for this summit, is really inclusion, right? So macroeconomic stability has been achieved, but stability is not the destination. Our destination is prosperity, and how that prosperity can trickle down to all sectors and to all Nigerians is the challenge before us as a nation.
Now let's talk about resolutions. Now, in the past years, some have questioned whether resolutions from these summits translate into real government action. What's different this year in terms of follow-through and especially accountability?
Right. So let me talk about two or three things. First is interesting that as we're doing this summit, the government has also started the process of the National Development Plan 2026 to 2030. And so the output of the summit will feed into the development of the National Development Plan for 2026 to 2030. And so that for us gives us hope that whatever comes out of the summit will fit in perfectly into the 5-year development plan that the government is working on. So that's the first thing. The second, of course, is one of the roles of the NESG is what you call accountability partner, in addition to us being a dialogue partner. So every dialogue will lead to resolutions. And our next job is really to hold ourselves accountable and to hold our partners accountable to ensure that when we come to NEST 32 next year, we really can talk about the things that have been done and the ones that are in progress. Now, we're not expecting that 100% will be done, but it's important that critical items are done, and our work is typically between the two summits. We'll work with our partners in the public sector to ensure that those ideas that come out of the summit feature into the everyday plan of respective ministries. And that's why we have our technical working groups that work throughout the course of the year with the respective ministries to get some of those plans implemented. And at the next summit, we'll come back and show to ourselves the scorecard. What did we promise we'll do? How much of those have been done? And how much are in progress? And what is left to be done?
Now, before I let you go, Mr. Yusuf, looking beyond the summit now, what role does the NESG see itself play in, helping to shape Nigeria's long-term economic resilience, especially in the midst of global uncertainties?
You are right about the global uncertainties that's besetting the entire world. And our role as the NESG is to act as connectors. And so we'll connect different economic actors, both foreign and local, public and private sector, our development partners, our youth, our women. As NESG will connect all actors together so that we all can be on the same page. That's one. Second is the summit provides us with an action plan, a roadmap of initiatives to be done. And our role is then to work with these various partners to ensure that roadmap, we are walking the talk and we're implementing the actions. And in doing that, we work with different counterparties in the public sector, in the development partners, in the academia. And that's the work that is done not at the summit, but in between the summit. And the pledge from the NESG is that we'll continue to work with the various partners to do the hard work in between summits, such that when we go to summit, we'll just be presenting our scorecard of what has been achieved.
All right, I must say a big thank you to you, Mr. Yusuf, for having this conversation with us, and I wish you nothing but the best at the summit that begins tomorrow in Abuja.
Thank you.